Cincinnati is the worst because it's right on the freaking river. So if it gets above 85, 90 degrees, you walk outside and it feels like someone has wrapped you in a wet blanket. It's just, you can't breathe, and you look at the freaking news and it's like, oh, well, the humidity today is only 110 degrees. I'm just going to swim to my first job. The fish are dying of heat stroke. And it's a geographic anomaly. It's like from where, oh brother, where art thou? You've got to drive an hour and a half to anywhere. You want to go to Dayton? Yeah, it's going to take you an hour and a half. Want to go to Columbus? It's going to take you an hour and a half. Want to go to San Diego? Somehow, it takes you an hour and a half.
Bienvenue chez Unicom Productions. Je suis votre directeur de croisière, Kristen, et voici le continent à Columbus, Ohio. Columbus, Ohio? Well, I guess I can stop speaking French now. This is Kristen, your cruise director, and today we'll visit The Continent, a mixed-use lifestyle center that opened in July 1973. It is one of the earliest examples of an open-air concept with stores, restaurants, entertainment venues with apartments above them. Sound familiar? This is what many dead malls across the country are being reimagined into. I came across a Reddit thread a few months ago of Columbus natives sharing their memories of this once popular attraction that in many ways was ahead of its time. I wanted to cover this property even though it isn't an enclosed mall as a case study in the long-term longevity of lifestyle centers. Columbus is home to a wildly popular outdoor center called East End Town Center that is a more modern version of this concept that opened in 1999. It shows no signs of slowing down. Retail and dining is cyclical though, and one wonders wandering the streets of the continent what Easton will look like in 10 or 20 years. In 1972, the developers, led by the late Bill Bonner, designed an attraction to mimic a French village complete with bars, restaurants, and stores that would showcase merchandise from around the world. The narrow footpaths are intended to give the feeling of strolling a European city, complete with cafes with tables that spilled onto the sidewalk, ripe for people watching. It featured the French Market, one of the first food courts in the United States. Remember, this was before it was commonplace for grocery stores, especially in the Midwest, to feature a wide selection of international items. The existence of a place to buy fancy cheese, wine, and high-end culinary gadgets was a breath of fresh air. The Continent was home to one of the first multi-screen movie theaters in Ohio as well. Altogether, the Continent was home to a total of 29 buildings with wide courtyards accented by statues and fountains. One account of the atmosphere in the 70s was it was the place for rich kids who went to Ohio State University to live. It was one of the date night hotspots in Columbus for most of the 70s, 80s, and the early part of the 90s, remaining vital for over 20 years. During the 1990s, it was host to a wildly popular Thursday night open-air dance party referred to as The Gathering, and a popular Columbus radio station maintained their studios there until the early 2000s. During this period of time, the area surrounding the continent changed. It moved from a primarily residential suburban neighborhood into a more industrial and business park-oriented landscape. As people moved to newly built suburbs surrounding Columbus and began shopping at City Center Mall downtown and Easton Town Center, the continent started to fade. As populations began to turn their attention once again to Columbus's downtown, the suburban location of the continent became less chic. This Sears office, which was home to a call center for their home improvement services division, amused me. Even though I was done at the mall for the day, apparently the mall wasn't done with me. During this century, several developers have endeavored to revitalize the center, starting in 2001 when the movie theater was remodeled and an effort was made to attract new businesses. The narrow design of the continent may have contributed to its demise. What was once charming and quaint had begun to seem claustrophobic in the era of the big box center. Remodeling or repurposing buildings with a residential component is more difficult than ones used strictly for retail. Apartment tenants have far more legal rights than shopkeepers. The apartments still seem well occupied. Most of the balconies above the vacant storefronts appeared to be lived in. On the Saturday afternoon I was there, it was extremely quiet, with only a few residents coming and going with groceries and baskets of laundry. The cheery, candy-colored plaster buildings that sit mostly vacant on the grounds give the feeling of strolling an abandoned Disney attraction. It's easy to imagine what kind of fun was had here in its heyday, full of new and exotic experiences of all kinds. The continent has entered middle age alongside its most enthusiastic original patrons. There's a saying that what is old will become new again. An old concept that has become popular again? In that case, will the era of the enclosed mall rise again, when the wall walkers have grown tired of being outside and are ready to come in out of the cold?
Wait, were you recording that?
No. Thank you for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel if you've not already done so. And thank you to every single one of our wonderful and supportive subscribers, with more finding us every day. We are supported by Patreon donations, and if you'd like to become a patron, please see the link in the description. This is Kristen, your cruise director. My co-pilot is Ron, and we are Unicom Productions, a proud member of the Dead Malls of Discord family.